Hello and welcome back to the Write Your Path podcast. My name is Lolly Spindler. I'm a writer, editor, book doula, and writing coach. And today on the pod, we have my friend Allie Silver. And she basically is the founder of a music management and consulting company. And she also is the head of programming at a local wellness spot here in Mexico City. And that's how we met. So welcome to the show, Allie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So basically, I know that you have very much led a non-traditional life and created your own really beautiful life path. So just kind of like tell us a little bit about who you are and how you ended up sitting with me in Mexico City.
That is a great question. Well, it's been quite a journey that's brought me here to Mexico, but maybe I'll give like an overall cliff notes. So I am originally from Connecticut, USA. Thrilling place. And I grew up in Connecticut. I went to school at Northwestern University in Chicago, and I always loved Latin American and really just Spanish culture. I first did an exchange program in Spain in high school and was just, from that point on, was like, America's not for me.
Yeah.
Like all good, love it, love my family, love my friends, but I just felt it's a very strange thing. There should be one of those like words for it in another language. How like there's weird Eskimos have like different words for different things. For someone who feels at home in another culture that's not their original native culture. And so I remember going to Spain and I was like, wait, this makes so much more sense for me. Finally, like the stork made a mistake. So from then on, I was always just pretty much just thrilled exploring Latin culture, and I was very interested through my travels. I was very fortunate that my family also loved to travel. So we traveled a lot growing up as a kid, and I was just so curious about different cultures and arts and music. And so when I went to school at Northwestern, I got very involved in world music radio. So for me, it was like a way to travel through music. So I would have get like flashbacks here now with the microphone, but you know, I would have radio shows and I'd produce a whole radio program where we would feature different artists from, for example, Gary Funa music from Belize and talk about the culture of where that comes from. And so I was just geeking out on that and very excited. And you know, it's just a crazy thing. I feel so fortunate. There are so many different life paths, but at 17, I was pretty much like world music. Wow. That's what's up for the rest of my life. And it kind of still is. I'm obviously veering into wellness a bit, but it kind of still is. So that sort of passion has sent me to many places. But first of which, big shift was studying abroad in Buenos Aires. And when I was there, I was like, this is it. I mean, I was going to school in Chicago, in the suburbs in Evanston, and you know, where you're 18, you're not even allowed to drink. And living in Buenos Aires, it was a whole other world. It was so much fun. And just exploring the culture there, speaking Spanish. Also, Argentine culture is really hilarious. I kind of joke, / not really a joke, that it's like a 24-hour clown show when you're in Argentina. Just they have such a ridiculous way of being and sense of humor. And for me, sense of humor is so important. So I really felt very connected there. And so I went back to finish my degree at Northwestern and pretty much just moved back there as soon as I could.
Wow.
And so I ended up moving back. It was actually a really kind of, I'm like the abridged version. Here we are, like 2 hours later.
I love it.
But what was really interesting is that at that time, I don't know if you remember this, they had a lot of Fulbright scholarships, and there was a specific MTV one for people interested in music.
So I didn't know this.
The MTVU Fulbright. And this is also, if we're talking about alternative paths, this is like failures lead to good things. Examples.
Love this.
So I applied. So I was like, oh, I want to go back to Argentina so badly. But being in the American brain, of course, I was like, I need a job. I need an opportunity. I needed to be set up because I just graduated college and I need to figure this out. So I applied for an MTVU Fulbright to study this record label called ZZK Records that I had connected with in my time there studying abroad. And they mix sort of like folklore and cumbia and the sort of resurgence of folklore music in Argentina and traditional music in Argentina, a country that historically in the past had always sort of negated their Latin American heritage and over their European heritage. So I was fascinated by this label. I applied to this grant. I made it to the last round and I did not get it. And I was devastated because I'm like, I need to move back to Argentina.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And then I finally was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and do my little research project without the funding and just see what happens because
amazing.
I want to go. So I ended up going down there, and just by magical coincidence, I was catching up with the head of the label and, you know, just saying, you know, I love it here so much. I really want to stay. And he's like, well, why don't you start part-time here just to give it a try? And I was like, wait a minute. I was basically applying for a grant to study this label, and now I can just work for them. Yeah. That's actually way better. Let's do that. And then...
like, why didn't I think of that?
And a month in, the label had an article about one of their artists in Pitchfork.
Oh, wow.
Chanchavier Circuito, one of the artists, had his music on Breaking Bad, and it kind of like blew up the whole label. An investor came in and they were like, we need you full time now.
Oh my God.
So I got, and that was 1 month after I had started. So I got
That's the universe, baby.
Lucky, yes. Wow. And so I ended up staying in Argentina for 9 years.
Wow.
Which was like, let me try for a few months. Yep. That worked out. So I was working for the label for a few years. Then I left and started my own artist management company. And I just was so fortunate to be able to work with amazing artists and really exporting Argentine sort of modern electronic and mixed with folkloric and cultural music abroad.
Wow.
And I was doing that for many years. It's been many, over 10 years.
Wow.
I think I've had my company for 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
And so I started traveling all around the world with the artists, tour managing. And after doing that for a very long time, which I was still in it and still loved it, but I was very inspired by all of the festivals we would go to in Europe on tour, because it was kind of like Alice in Wonderland. You would enter these worlds, and the creative production was so fascinating. You'd be wandering around the woods in the middle of nowhere, Germany, where they have, like, I'm thinking of Fusion Festival, the example, if anyone knows of it. Like, it was a former Russian air base. Oh, wow. And so in the bunkers where the planes would go, different art crews would just decorate it with crazy themes. And
that's so cool.
You'd get lost in the woods and there'd be like 30 head scratchers hanging from a tree randomly. And you would just like be scratching your head, talking to the person next to you. So I got so fascinated by this like creative production that at that time, even that was really the first time we went to Fusion was 2013. I was like, I think I want to eventually move to Berlin and I want to learn how to do this from like the masters.
Wow.
And so I kept touring with the artist for a long time. And then after it had been almost like 10 years I was in Argentina, I said, I'm at that age, I'm at that point where I could just stay, but I feel like there's another chapter for me somewhere else.
There's like more growth.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was very happy there. It was a very weird transition because I remember when in my first years, I said, the time, whenever that day comes that I'm going to leave Argentina, I'm going to be so sad. And someone said to me, another music industry colleague who had lived in Argentina, who actually was managing Fabulosos Cadillacs, and he was like, it's just going to happen. One day you're going to wake up and you're just going to know.
That's so funny because this is literally happening to my friend right now.
Really?
Who has spent the last 8 years in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
And she just decided, she's like, I need to go elsewhere now. That's funny. That's like maybe it's like a weird energetic thing. Like Buenos Aires. Yeah.
Maybe it's a Buenos Aires thing. I don't know if it's the same about anywhere else, but you know what I feel? I'm going to get a little woo-woo on you guys.
We love the woo-woo.
I'm sure this is not the first time it's happened on this podcast. But I was and am so in love with Argentina and Argentine culture. And it really felt like my life's service for many years to like bring this music to other parts of the world and make those connections happen in whatever resources and way that I could be of service to the music and to the culture. And I felt like when I felt that transition happen, I felt like I had been in Argentina enough time that it was fully a part of me. Like now I'm technically just an American gringo living in Mexico. But when people ask me where I'm from, I'm never like, I'm just from Connecticut. Yeah. I'm like, I'm from the States. I lived in Argentina for 10 years. Yeah. And now I'm here. So it became such a part of me in terms of the language, the accent, the culture, how I live my life. And I'm so grateful. So I feel like it was almost like a karmic switch and release. It was like, okay, you've absorbed enough of this that it will be with you forever, and now you can go on to the next thing.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Yeah. But now my Spanish accent is becoming very Mexican.
I was gonna
And
say.
I'm not happy about it. Love Mexico, love Mexican accent, but I really used to pull a big porteño
I was gonna
accent.
say like pollo a la parrilla.
Yeah, I was really. It's like when you meet someone. Let's say you meet someone from India, right? And you're from the States, and you're like, oh, cool. And they speak to you with like a Southern accent from Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
So it always throws people off guard when I
Yeah.
would just come in with like a super strong Argentine accent. And I love that. I love that. And now that my accent is mixed, people are like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, damn.
Yeah, you're like, no. I know that was like, I used to live in Spain, so I had like a madrileña accent. And now it's so chilango that when I go back to Madrid, my friends are like, what are you even saying? Like, they don't even understand my Spanish anymore. I'm like, it's puro chilango now. Sorry. That's
Spanish from Spain is a whole other thing. I didn't understand until I lived in Buenos Aires, because everyone always thinks, oh, Spain, it's so wild and it's so liberal and they're tapas and they're flamenco and their long brown hair and they're so wild. They're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Spanish people listening. They're not. Like, not compared to Latin America.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Latin America is like the super chill, Wild West younger brother, that when I went back to Spain other times afterwards, I was like, people are...
Yeah, I think for Europe, Spain is spicy. Yeah. But like once you've lived, literally my friends in Madrid are like, you can't live here anymore, you're too spicy. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll come visit.
Yeah, I love that spicy life.
Yeah.
All about living that spicy life.
So when did this transition happen when you were like, I want to go to Berlin to learn like creative production, and kind of tell us how that chapter unfolded for you?
So that first summer when I had that first spark of inspiration, that was, when was that? No, it was 2012.
Okay.
It was actually before Fusion Festival. I was invited. So I've been in this world music scene since college, basically. And there is a world music conference I go to every year.
Oh, cool.
It's called the World Music Expo, and it moves around Europe every year. And I believe this is my 18th year in a row.
Holy shit.
I'm like...
In it. It's your legal adult.
It's my favorite thing on the entire planet, because it's kind of like a Star Wars convention for Star Wars fans, but world music. Yeah. I mean, it is a professional conference and showcase festival, but if that's what you love, if you love exploring different music and cultures from around the world, it's about 2,000 to 3,000 people who are all crazy enough to have dedicated our whole lives to it.
Wow, that's really cool.
So it becomes like this family work reunion every year, because as it's world music, as one would say, I'm doing the quote signs here with my fingers because nobody likes that term who's actually in that business. But it becomes this sort of, it's almost like a support group for everyone also who's been doing it. So it's business, it's networking, it's a chance to get a first look at some of the upcoming talent from all around the world. And because we're all in different places, sometimes it's the one time you get to see the people you work with. Yeah. Because, for example, when I was a manager and tour manager living in Buenos Aires, I would be organizing tours for bands all over the world. So most of the times I'd be traveling with the band, sometimes not. So that's really the time when as many people as possible, not everyone, would get to work face to face and get to be with each other face to face and celebrate face to face. So I love it.
Oh, that's so great. So when you went to Berlin, was that like because you were going to the World Music Expo and then you just kind of were like, I want to stay forever? Or how did that happen?
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that happened.
That's okay.
So
I got you.
The reason why I went to Berlin is because the company that runs the conference is based in Berlin. Okay. And I was invited. At that time, I was the youngest member ever chosen to be on the jury. They have like a seven samurai jury where it's 7 people from all over the world. And so in 2012, I was asked to be on the jury, which for me was a super great honor. And they basically, you listen to like over 1,000 submissions. Now it's probably way more than that, because this was a long time ago. Everyone in their own homes. And then we meet together in Berlin. They basically like lock us in this office and give us delicious food for about a week. And we go through all the submissions and we make the final cuts and decisions. And it was actually the best career learning experience I've ever had, because really cool. You have all of these amazing people in the room and everyone's sort of explaining their reasoning about why different acts are important or what are things to prioritize, how to break it up so it's equal in terms of genre, in terms of country, and what some people who are much older and wiser than me really look for. And so that was really one of the most wonderful experiences. So
what was one of the most interesting pieces of advice or wisdom you absorbed during that time? Like something that somebody said mattered to them that surprised you, I guess.
Well, you know what was interesting? I don't know if you know this band, but now they're very famous actually. I discovered Daka Braka in that session. So check them out. It's an amazing band from Ukraine.
Okay.
That's really unbelievable. And they're very weird and out there.
Okay.
And I'm all about weird and out there in general.
Yeah.
But if you don't really know the context or if you haven't seen it live, it's like, what is this? They have these shrill voices. They have these silly hats. What is going on here? And I remember one of the guys who was on the jury with us from Holland was like, I've seen them live. This is one of the best bands that's going to be here at this conference. And it was such a mix. There's so many lessons. I could literally do a whole podcast episode of it, but the element of like trusting, we were all sort of trusting each other. Sometimes we were shooting in the dark. We were making decisions on bands that we had never seen. But that one, we're like, what is this? And he was like, just trust me on this one.
Damn.
And it was a hit, and they tour all over the world now. Like check them out. They're unbelievable. And so I felt very like proud to have been a part of that jury that like picked them up first. But yeah, it was really unbelievable because now I'm totally skipping ahead, but now I do a lot of coaching work for artists. So that was one of the first real formations of like, okay, this is really what the high-end bookers of all of the important festivals are looking for.
Oh, wow.
But bringing us back to Berlin. So I was in Berlin on that trip. We did the jury thing. I ended up like, I've never been to Berlin. I'm just going to book a hostel and stay. And it was kind of like a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie where like you like have the best time, you make a million friends, you have a little love story. And I was like, I remember wheeling my suitcase from the conference thing to the hostel, and I saw Tempodrome, like one of these venues in the distance, and I was like, I'm gonna live here one day. I think I'm gonna live here. I just felt that pull. Yeah. And then the magic that followed the week or weekend that I was there afterwards, the universe was just like, yep. Yeah. And so even though I was in Argentina loving it, I sort of always had this fantasy in the back of my head that I would love to move to Berlin. And then after that, when I started to go to the festivals, that only grew and grew and grew. And over when we would be touring and we would be spending time in Berlin, I would always try and stay for an extra week and spend time with friends. So that it just grew and grew. And then in 2019, I just sort of felt like, okay, maybe it's now time to explore that. And I could come back to Argentina in the winters and let me figure it out. And I actually ended up applying. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Berlin or Spain. And I was like, maybe I can live in Spain and just go to Berlin for the summers. So I actually ended up applying to Spain. And I spend that summer in Spain a lot touring with one of my bands, Femina. Cool. And as that's happening, and I was like, if it doesn't work out, it's totally fine. I handed in my visa paperwork because I applied for a very weird specific type of visa. At the embassy, they were like, you're probably not going to get it. This is mainly for older people. And I was like, yeah, sure, just look at my papers, like go for it. If not, I'm happy in Argentina. So like, it's okay. And I ended up getting the visa. But what happened is being in Spain that summer, I was like, it's really Berlin. I really just think it's Berlin. And they're like, you got the visa to Spain. I was like, oh shoot. Okay, so I ended up basically just picking up the visa. I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I'm gonna just go to Germany. And try my luck there and see what happens. And so I basically did my registration there, got on the next plane to Berlin to try it out. And that was it. And I'm still, even though I'm sort of moving my base to Mexico right now, I'm completely in love with Berlin. And I think I always will be. But I needed, the reason, 8 hours later, the answer to your question, the reason why I came to Mexico is because my plan always was to have a base in Europe and then come to Argentina for the winter in Europe, the summer in Argentina, and spend time with my clients and the artists and sort of keep doing what I was doing and do more festival production stuff that would also be able to be a link for artists that I'm working with and my consulting clients that if I knew more festivals and things in Europe, then I would be able to do a better job at my job and not always have to be on the road. So that was the plan. But what happened that year, 2019 going into 2020, was COVID. I'm sure, as we all like to forget. So I was like, oh no, well, I'm stuck in Berlin now. This is happening. And it was really funny because, as I've said, I love Argentina so much, and I've never been back since I left.
That's crazy.
I left in January 2020 because after the visa stuff, I went back to sort of close up my apartment, get my stuff, do all of these things. I was like, great, I'm just going to come back the following summer. Have not been back.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I miss it, but something happened. Like the door just closed and the next door of the next chapter of my life opened, which was so full on and exciting. That I would love to go back to Argentina, but it's extremely expensive right now and everything. And so when that winter, the first winter I spent there, we'll never do that again because it was also lockdown, Berlin winter.
Oof.
Don't recommend it. That when the following winter, when things were a bit more flexible to travel, I'd heard such amazing things about Mexico. I'd been to Mexico very briefly on a few tours with my artists before. And I always felt like there was an unfinished story there. I was just like, I need to spend more time. I need to see what's up. And I'd heard such great things about friends from Berlin also traveling in Mexico. One of my best friends was living in Mexico, and I said, okay, let me go for a few months this winter because Argentina's still very locked down. It doesn't seem like a good idea, and see how I feel. And I arrived to Mexico, and I was visiting a friend in Veracruz for a few weeks, and one of my clients is an amazing artist based between here and London, whose name is Moncaya, Spanish artist. And we had kind of like fallen in friend love at a distance because a friend connected us, and we were doing our sessions, band therapy consulting sessions I do for artists, sort of all through the pandemic at a distance. And I called her up when I was going to Mexico. I said, hey, I'm going to be in Mexico. We finally get to hang out in person. And she said, you have to come to this hacienda with me for New Year's. My partner's celebrating his 40th birthday. You have to come. You know, there's going to be 40 people. I think it was actually maybe 60 people in this hacienda. And I barely knew her, didn't know anyone.
But any invitation to hacienda, you say yes.
Exactly. And I felt like I was crazy because I was with my friend who was much more on the local scene in Veracruz. And she's like, you know, there was a PDF. It was like, this day we wear this outfit. This day we wear this outfit. And I was like, is this some like Illuminati trap that I'm getting into? Like, what
am I joining a cult?
But I had a really good feeling about it, and she's so cool that I was like, it must be not a terrible time, you know? So I decided to go, and I met like my whole community here in one shot. So that was one of the things that made my transition to spending time in Mexico so easy, because I had just met this beautiful community that welcomed me with open arms, and I was again here in love with Mexico. So that was, oh my God, when was that? That was almost 5 years ago now.
Okay.
So I decided to spend the winters in Mexico every year, like at least 4 months. But it really became much more like a second home. My intention with Mexico was never just to travel around and have a touristy time, because I lived as a tour manager. I wanted to be more grounded. I wanted to not be in the Berlin in the winter, but have a community and really be able to do interesting projects and feel connected and feel at home.
Yeah.
And so now, 5 years later, I have this amazing opportunity with Koti Wellness, and I'm doing, what's so magical about it is that I moved to Europe to do creative production. And I loved, it was like the best life school ever. I went to like the grad school of that by just living it from experience of doing it. But I always felt like a little odd one out, because also because I had years of touring experience behind me. I was already into my 30s. I wasn't looking to rage. I'm basically sober. I really wasn't. So I would always love like the ambient stages. I would build tea bars at festivals. Like I was all about the chilling and like going to bed at midnight, and just wake up early and going to the yoga class. Like I was there for the creativity and of production, but I was not there for the all night party. Not to say that it never happened, but you know, that was really
like your primary motivation.
Exactly. And I was just kind of like festival grandma, where I was loving being there, but you know, you could always find me in the tea lounge or something like that. So I always felt a little out of place, even though I loved that world. I just wasn't interested in the rave as much as everyone else there, but I was very interested in design and fabrics and booking artists and that kind of thing. So when this opportunity came up with Koti, it was like as if it were made for me beyond my wildest dreams. It's like, here's a beautiful sauna house. You can hang in the sauna and create cozy, cute, lovely wellness events for a beautiful community and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Go wild with it. I could do film screenings, acoustic concerts. We just did an herbalism workshop. We have a mushroom feast coming up, all different kinds of stuff. And it feels so much more aligned with me.
Oh, that's amazing.
So now bringing to how did we get here today? I'm here in Mexico. I still work on my music freelance projects that I love. I still do a lot of coaching for artists through my band therapy program, but my main focus is as director of programming and community for Koti. And so I'm moving my base more here to Mexico City, and we'll still be in Europe in the summers and be connecting with my community there then and doing some production and other gigs while I'm there. But yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a crazy time.
I love it. And I love how everything is just like aligned in every chapter to bring you to something that has both sides, because also through Koti you get to have some local artists perform there as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, for me, the most exciting part is that as a manager, you're always selling, right? You're selling, you're repping your bands, you're trying to get them out there, even coaching, you're trying to support the artists to get their stuff out there. But the greatest thing to me about having a space is I get to choose and I get to invite people for great opportunities. Yeah. So it is such an honor and pleasure to be able to have a resource that I can share. Yeah. So it's like, oh, hey, Lolly, come do a writing workshop. We have this amazing expert from mushrooms who's in town. Let's invite her to do this. Here's some unbelievable acoustic musicians from Argentina. Why don't you come and do a concert for us? So to be able to be in that hosting mode and sort of share the joy of the resource of what Koti is with the community and with the artist is like, oh, it's such a great thing after just like rolling that boulder up the hill for my whole life.
I was gonna say, after having to like run around for so long, you're like, no, now you can come to me.
Exactly. And there's great tacos.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So what is some of the biggest lessons you learned when you were touring with bands? And then what are some of the biggest lessons you've imparted when you're coaching bands? And are they related? I'm assuming they are, but we'll see.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'm going to take the second question first. Okay. So in terms of coaching artists, it really always comes down to one thing or one sort of concept that happens over and over and over. And this goes for what's interesting is it's not just artists. I think it could be brands. It could be anything really. For me, it's always about like, who are you? What is your project? And why is it unique and special? And if those three things are not being communicated to me clearly by your social media or by your bio, your press kit, whatever, that's like the building blocks of the situation. So I find, and it goes for personal growth and stuff as well, 100%. That so many artists, because of their creative process, they're not really thinking in that way. Yeah. They're like, oh, it's just me. I'm Allie, and I wrote this song, and this is how I feel about it. And let's say I have an indie pop band. How many indie pop bands do we know? 1 million. Yeah. So I'm like, what is it about Allie's indie pop band that only Allie can do? Out of the whole people in all the world, only Allie can make an album like this. Tell me why. Why am I going to listen to this and not the other millions of albums on whatever platform you choose? So it is so important for artists and for, I think, brands, I guess. You could also say humans, but it really depends on what thing. It is such a gift to be able to, in the sessions, to hold up a mirror to them and let them go through it. It's not like I'm doing it for them. I'm just sort of pulling the rainbow handkerchief out of their mouth of like, tell me what is unique and special about you. And if you don't know, then let's dig and find out so you know, and you can tell the world and you can show the world. Yeah. And there's something that shifts energetically when someone can stand up and confident be like, this is what my project's about. This is why I dedicate my life to this against all odds, being an artist, like this is why I stand up every day, get my guitar, get my flute, whatever I have, and I go back to rehearsing and I do this because this is what I have to say. And it's so exciting to accompany that process. It's the greatest thing on the entire planet.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. I guess it's also a doula of sorts. Like,
yeah, you are.
Like, it's fun to doula work in all its capacities.
Doula work in all its works.
It's fun. Yeah. And then I guess the first question was touring with artists.
Yeah. Like, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned from that
my
process?
Lord.
You can also tell us a fun story if you want, or two.
The amount that I learned is forever. It is infinite. It is the ultimate school of life. Because what people forget is that it's not a regular office. So imagine you're with the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. They also become your roommates. They become your friends. They become the people that you spend 24/7 with for weeks or months at a time. No personal space. Everyone's cranky. Everyone's exhausted. Guess what happens next? So it's like, it is a wild thing.
Yeah.
It is a wild thing, and it's a wild experience. And to be living in that sort of on and off for your whole, or for years at a time. Yeah. You know, with La Yegros especially, was the main artist I was managing, and I managed her for 5 years, really from like the start of her career while it was really taking off. You know, we did like a 2.5 month tour straight, the first tour. Wow. And the amount of mistakes I made, Lord Jesus. And it's just because I didn't know. Yeah. I just didn't.
You don't know to
know. And there's no school for that, really. And even if there's a school for it, I would say it's like, I can't say because I'm not a mom yet, but like, it's like being a parent. Yeah. You can read all the books, and not that there are that many books on this subject, but
you should write one.
Maybe I
I'll
should.
Be your book doula.
Oh, I got my book doula ready to go.
Just saying.
Got everything I need right here. But it's really, now I'm really thinking about it. We're going to talk about this afterwards. But it's really it is such a wild learning growth spurt process to have that sort of be your life. But for me, what it taught me is it's like how to be a ninja under pressure, kind of. It's like because when you're the tour manager, it's like you're the mom, you're the boss, you're the babysitter, you're the friend, you're the accountant, you're the one who holds the money, you're the travel agent. So you're in all of these roles. And so also just imagine this, in that first big tour, oh my God, I can't even believe that. I was either 25 or 26.
Wow.
I was years younger. I think the youngest of the artists I was touring with was like 7 or 8 years old. They were all in their 30s at that point. And they're Argentine. They're hippie Argentine musicians. I'm American and younger and a woman and holding the money. They were not, like, the main singer, yes, because we were working as a team, but there was a lot of conflict. And also, they're hot Argentine musician dudes. Yeah. First time ever in Europe.
Oh,
The stories I could tell you. You don't want to know. So having to manage that and really, like, grow the tough skin was really rough. I remember the first tour, one of the first places we were in Paris, and I couldn't find the key to the Airbnb. It turns out it was like in the pocket of a bag. It had fallen somewhere. And it was really important for us to get back into the Airbnb to have like a minute to rest and change before the show. And I couldn't find the key, and I was the tour manager, and I just cried. I was like, I just couldn't, with all the stuff that was also going on. I was like, I just can't. And I just want to hug her so much because it ended up being totally fine. But when you feel that, like, oh my God, I'm failing at this so hard right now. But it really, I think that there is a way to handle high pressure situations or really any situations with calm and composure. And when that stuff happens enough times, really wild things happen where you get to a show, the guitar breaks, like a million different things. Trains delayed, the flights canceled, that there's always a solution and it's always going to be okay. And you have to be the face of calm for everyone.
Wow.
And so that like ninja training school, and I'm not saying that you always execute perfectly, but you do the best that you can. And through that experience, I've learned to trust myself enough that now when every once in a while now I don't tour manage so much anymore, but I'll do like a freelance tour managing gig here and there. I was with Aja Monet in November, who's a fantastic artist. She's a poet. You should check her out.
Ooh,
you love her.
Yes.
That when stuff happens, and stuff did happen on that tour, not so bad, but you're just like, okay, what's the solution going to be?
Yeah.
We're going to solve it. Hopefully we solve it in the best way possible. And we do what we have to do. And I think that was the most important skill I could have possibly learned for life in all the categories. So yeah, I'm so grateful to that. And it's nice now that that isn't my life anymore like it was before, but I work with a fantastic booking agency that's more like funky jazz stuff called Jaw Family. They're based in Berlin. Amazing company, amazing roster, wonderful people to work with, and I freelance for them doing tour logistics, and every once in a while they'll ask me to go on a tour. One of which, actually, this was a great story.
Ooh.
So I hadn't been on tour for, do we have time for
Oh my God,
like a
yes, girl.
story? Okay.
I want all the stories.
The last time that I had gone on tour with my bands, I'd always toured with bands I manage, was with my band Femina, and we actually did a big tour as three of them, but now it became a duo, and we just did a 2-week tour when I was already living in Europe. And so I'd always just managed for my bands, and I never really thought of tour managing for anyone else. And a colleague had asked me that, hey, there's this gospel choir that needs a tour manager. And I was like, that sounds chaotic. Like, how many people could that be? What does that entail? And this is how I first got connected to this company, Jaw Family. And I said, listen, it's this gospel choir. There are 13 people. The youngest is 24. The oldest is in his 70s. They just need someone for like, I think it was like 10 days. Would you be able to do it? And I got such a good vibe from the booking agency. I met the group is Jametta Rose and the Voices of Creation. Cannot recommend them more. Cannot. Like one of the greatest things. I listened to the music. I thought it was cool. I met Jametta. I thought she was great. And I was like, it's 10 days. How bad could it be?
Oh God.
Right? That could it be. God. So it ended up, was it extremely challenging? Actually extremely challenging is dramatic. Did it have moments of challenge? For sure, because it's 13 people. Some are professional musicians, some are not. And so bringing 2 giant suitcases, trying to move them around. Luckily we had a bus sometimes, so that was easier. But I feel like I was sort of adopted in this like spiritual gospel choir. It wasn't. So the thing about this group is that I would say the choir is definitely spiritual, but 0% religious. Okay. Or at least the music isn't. Yeah. It's uplifting, it's inspirational, it's positive. It mixes hip hop and funk and cool stuff. It's very like modern. It's a lot of the musicians in the band grew up singing and playing in church, but it's not, there's no mention of Jesus or anything like that. It's kind of like modern day funky spirituality and guidance. And Jametta's super sassy and wonderful, and so are all the singers. And so we went on this journey together where, you don't know these people, and then you see them play 7 times in, from Italy to Switzerland, all these places. And I just fell in love with them because it was like a big family, and how sweet they were and how they took care of each other. It was so inspiring, and the music is amazing. And so I was like in the front row of every show, like dancing and grooving while I'm selling the records. It was great. And so from that experience, I was just like, I love this booking agency. I'm in love with this band. And so every now and then I just did Jametta. I did a short tour with Aja Monet also in the fall. And it's so wonderful and nostalgic to like get to dip back into that life. Because when you're on tour, nothing else exists outside. Luckily, like, I've been in situations where I've had personal things going on at the same time I'm touring, which is extremely difficult. But it's so great to kind of like forget your real life and just be like Miss Frizzle, like everybody get on the bus for this adventure. She's definitely one of my spirit animals, Miss Frizzle. If any of you guys get the reference. So yeah, I love that when I get to dip into it every once in a while.
Yeah, because now it's not like your life. So you're like, now I get to choose when this is my life.
Also, it's very different, which I didn't realize before this experience. When you're managing a band and you're also tour managing, you're also accounting. Sometimes it's healthier to separate those roles when you get to the point that you can afford to do so. Most of the times for years I did it because it's like giving an extra percentage or paying an extra percent. But it's great when you can to kind of give some air and space to that. But I just get to rock up like the fun babysitter, and it's like, let's go. And then at the end, if it's like, oh, there's issues with the payment or this, I'm like, great, you call your manager. Good luck with that. I'll see you another time.
I don't have to anything to do with that.
No, I got to get you from point A to point B, make sure everyone is like healthy and well. And that is also what brings me here into Koti, is that the more I did it, and I also traveled with artists who were pregnant and babies, and nothing makes you understand and appreciate wellness like being on tour, let me tell you, because it's like being an athlete or running a marathon. How you're feeling physically, emotionally, spiritually really is the success of the thing working, and how you connect energetically to the audience and how much energy you have on stage. And so I became sort of like an artist wellness activist in my own way, with in my coachings, like helping people review the rider, figuring out how to ask for the healthy foods they need, really trying to push for artists to have reasonable flights and times whenever it's possible, build in days off when you can. I mean, all of this is based on financial restrictions,
of course,
but it's about helping to consult with people for them to find healthy mediums so they're not miserable. Because the whole point for me of band therapy, other than, of course, as we said before, like bringing out people's shine and authenticity and what's really special about them, is that we're not doing art or writing or creative stuff because we want to make millions of dollars. It would be nice. But if people who choose that path, as we're talking here about alternative paths, for me is an act of bravery and resilience, because really, against all odds of how society works and funds things, it's not to say that it's impossible, but you're really like going into the battlefield of it is, it's going to be extremely challenging. And for the people who stand up and are born with it and feel that push and that desire to do that, how can we support them? How can we make it so there's more art in the world? How can we make it that they don't give up and get burnt out and get discouraged? So it's, we're doing this because we love it, and it's fun, not just in like a silly fun way, but it feeds our soul. So we need to be so vigilant and supportive in how we protect artist wellness so the art doesn't die off. And so sometimes the sessions for me, it's like, I'm just sort of there accompanying and assisting their process. Sometimes it's much more specific things we work on, otherwise not. But sometimes artists are there doing it alone. They're producing their own music. They don't have the resources to have a whole team around them, or they're not big enough to have a manager yet. And sometimes it's just having someone to hold your hand and be like, tell me what's going on with you. Are you feeling overwhelmed about this? What do you need support with? What do you need to move forward? And sometimes I'm just talking to them, and I'm just being there, and they're like, thank you so much. Oh my God. I feel so much more motivated. And I was like, great.
You're like, good, I didn't do anything. But they feel like they have no one to talk to about these things.
Exactly.
So when they finally have that outlet, it's like, also just, I feel like saying things out loud really helps you get clarity on them too.
100%.
So it's like, oh, I've been saying this in my head this one way for so long, and now that I'm actually vocalizing it to someone else, things are falling into place.
Exactly. And it's a lot of mirror work of like, okay, this is what works. This is what doesn't work. This is what you need to work on. Tell me what's special about you. How can we work with that? Now that we know that, now that we know your strengths and weaknesses, how can we, and we know where you want to go to, how can we build the bridge and start building the yellow brick road towards where you need to go? So that's like the 45-minute answer to your question.
No, I love it. So if people would like to work with you, where can they find you online?
So you can find me on Instagram at Viva Free Radical. You can also find me on my website, which is alliesilver.com. Either work. And so I have kind of like a few things that I do. Oh my God, Sochi Beats. We didn't. That's Sochi Beats.
I still haven't been to one.
What? Okay, we're gonna have to fix that really soon. So For the band therapy stuff, you could just hit me up at any one of those resources. If you're an artist that needs some support, always happy to help. If anyone is ever interested in Koti or attending events, so basically, I don't know if we even really meant how much we talked about Koti, but Koti is a beautiful wellness space in Mexico City. They have private saunas in Roma Norte. They have a beautiful community space in Condesa, where I host a lot of their events or help produce a lot of their events. They also are opening this weekend, reopening the Lomas location in Lomas de Chapultepec. And we're going to be opening a big bathhouse venue in Polanco in June.
Amazing.
And that's going to be big. It's going to have like a jacuzzi, steam room, more events place, cafe, and hopefully another one in that style in Roma by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
So there's lots going on. Also, if you ever want to check out a sauna session at Koti, you can use the code COLIBRI, which is COLIBRI, which is hummingbird in Spanish. That gives you a little discount for a session.
Amazing.
And if you're ever interested in producing any events there, checking it out, you can hit me up on either one of those avenues.
I've done that. It's great.
She did it. It was great.
It's really fun.
Yeah. Oh, and Sochi Beats.
Yeah.
So I obviously do freelance production for events, and Sochi Beats is another great story of an amazing serendipitous accident. So many of you maybe have heard of a place called Xochimilco in Mexico City, where it's kind of like Mexican Rainbow Venice, where it's like these bright multicolored boats that float on these canals, where there are all different vendors selling everything from micheladas to flower crowns to quesadillas, to all strange things. And it's that whole water system is sort of, I believe it's UNESCO heritage site, if I'm not mistaken, where that's sort of how the ancestral regenerative farming systems of Mexico exist, and they still exist, obviously not in the same way as before. So you can kind of cruise around these canals, you could have mariachi bands jump on your boat, and you can check out all these beautiful farms that are there, which is a really fun thing to do when you visit Mexico City. Highly recommend. So what happened was 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago now, I went to a retreat, and I had met once before at a different retreat, the wonderful Charles Michel, who ended up becoming my producing partner, who is a regenerative food activist and does a million different projects, but especially in the food scene, kind of a famous chef, was on Netflix, Final Table and other things. And so we just connected very briefly, but got a great vibe from him. And I know that he DJ'd a little bit, but I didn't really think about it. And he was moving to Mexico City. And we had just been on this retreat. We had a bunch of friends in town, and Xochimilco is great for, just go when you have a group of friends in town, you just rent a little boat and you go out and you have a fun afternoon. And so I invited Charles. I said, Charles, you're just moving here. We're getting a group together for Xochimilco. Why don't you join us? And he said, should I bring my deep playa set up? And I'm like, can you elaborate on that? And he was like, yeah, I love to DJ, and I DJ for friends at Burning Man, and I have a whole wireless setup I can bring it on the boat. Oh my God. And I said, well, yes. And also, should I bring my live music friends and get a mic? Can we get like a line out and a microphone, and I'll bring my singer friends and we'll just have a little jam? And he's like, great, let's do it. And so this was completely by friends, for friends. This was like a non-profit. We were just like, cool, we're going to have a weird Saturday afternoon. Like, why not? And it was just, we didn't even promote it. We were just like, yeah, homies, who wants to come down? And so before we knew it, we were either 3 or 4 boats full of people tied together, having a live music jam.
That's incredible.
On these canals. And it was a wild thing with like live music, and all the other boats are stopping by, like, what's going on here? And everyone was like, when's the next one? And we were like, there's no next one. Like, this was it. Like,
this was just for us.
Yeah, like, when is it happening again? And so we looked at each other, we're like, why not? We could do it again. So we've done 13 now.
Oh my God.
We've done 13. It's become a fun little monster. We don't do it with the same frequency that we used to. Now we did like one big community one per year, and we do a lot of private parties and like birthday parties and corporate parties and those kind of things. But now it's grown a lot, and we do, especially Charles being into regenerative food systems, we've linked in with an incredible organization, Arca Tierra, that has a whole regenerative farm. And so we not only have the music jam, we go to the farm, we learn about the farming systems. We have a beautiful meal there with food from their garden. And it's fantastic. The last one we did during Art Week was about 100 people.
Holy shit.
On 6 boats.
Oh my God.
With some pretty fun artists from all over the world and DJs. And so it's quite a time.
grown.
And that's how I got the Koti opportunity, because the
I was
others
gonna
came to
ask
Sochi
you.
Beats.
I was gonna say, how did that connect happen? Okay,
Yeah, so
right.
a few friends had recommended me because they're like, oh, we want to do some events. Like, oh, Allie does Sochi Beats and a bunch of stuff. You should talk to her. And they came to Sochi Beats. Then afterwards, they were like, why don't you come check out Koti? Maybe we could do some stuff together. And the rest was history.
Oh my God. Okay, now all of the dots are connecting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
You gotta come sometime.
I know. I heard about it like years ago now from Anastasia, and I was like, one day, and then it still hasn't happened.
It's one of those things where like it should have stopped so many times, and every time we're like, no, it's too much work, it's too much effort. We both have other projects. Like, we don't really do this to make money at all. It's just like for the community, and we like make a little, like, some monedas basically. Yeah. And then every time it happens, it's like bigger than us. It's just people like the comments that they're like, this is the best day of my life. People were like, she was like, this happens every time. Yeah. There just is a magic that happens in that place, and sort of curating a beautiful community there together. Very magical there. And the great thing about when you talk about creative events, I love boat parties because you're trapped. So you can't just like come and be like, and leave. Like, you have to 5 to 6 hours on these boats. You're gonna make some new friends, whether you like it or not. You're gonna have to make some new friends. And the idea is that it's really just for friends of friends. Yeah. It's still public event, and other people do come, but the idea is that it's really a nice, wonderful community of people. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to go, but I'm just gonna go by myself, I'm like, that's the perfect time to go, because you're gonna meet so many new people. So it's a little fun monster. Every time we're like, maybe this will be the last time. It's just so much work to put it together, and then everyone's like, no, don't stop. We're like, okay, fine. Like, okay, one more, and then it's one more. I think that we've got a good rhythm now. We do more of the private things, which I'm hoping to do more of, and we do like at least 1 or 2 big ones a year. Okay. It's fun. The next one I have to come. Yes, I have to come. Too. Well, thank you so much for being on. My pleasure. So lovely. So lovely. My pleasure. Anything else you want to leave our audience with? Any last little tidbits? I think that, it's very funny we're having this conversation, because I've always been, my company is called Free Radical Productions. And actually the name was kind of a funny joke from a friend, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm starting my own management thing. He's like, well, you're a free radical, aren't you? And I was like, I am. And I'm stealing that name. This is what's going to happen now. And it's funny because in wellness, free radicals are like things that are not good for you. So it was kind of like a whole metaphorical, hilarious thing. It's like, great, I'm going to like burn myself out and tour with bands all around the world until I get into wellness, and then I'm going to do something else. But it's very funny. But so now with Koti, I'm currently part-time with them now, but sort of will be transitioning to full-time with them in the next months. And so it's not, I will still always have my freelance projects and my music things, but it's so funny because as we're talking about these paths, my cousin actually who lives in Tokyo, who's an interpreter and has worked for big corporate companies there like his whole career, he's like, yeah, Allie, my mom said I should talk to you, my aunt, to get some advice, because I'm thinking about freelancing and doing my own thing. And I'm like, wow, it's funny because I never really planned to like have more of a full-time job for a company and a boss and all of that, even though I always had tons of projects. Unless it's totally aligned and it's the right thing. Yeah, of course. And when this came out of the sky, I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. This does definitely feel like that. Like it could be that. So as we're talking with the audience about sort of alternative paths, and just as I was giving this advice to my cousin on the phone the other day, even though I'm transitioning into more of a full-time position for a company other than my own, I really think there is something so beautiful about really taking the time to figure out what lifestyle properly suits you, as opposed to just being like, okay, I need a job from a company and I'm going to go in and I'm going to wake up the hour they say, I'm going to go in the hour they say, and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, through the ups and downs and all of the stuff that I've had being an entrepreneur and having my own business for all of these years, is that it has given me an enormous amount of freedom to live and design the life that I want.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like we only have, I'm not saying that everyone should be a freelancer and that's what everyone should do, but whether it's you have a full-time job or not, it is so important that you really take the time to figure out, like, what would I love to wake up and do every day that would, no job is 100% perfect, but that most of the time I would be super excited to get up and do.
Yeah.
How do I want to get up early and go to an office every day? Do I not? Like, do I want to travel all the time for work? Do I not? Do I want to have a family? How does that work out with my partner? Like, there's so many questions that I think for many years, I always was being behind the scenes. I was like, this is the artist, I'm not the artist. They're the artist, I'm not the artist. I'm the behind the scenes mom.
Yeah.
I kind of produce everything for them and I'm not the artist. And it really woke me up one day because a dear friend of mine said, what do you mean you're not an artist? You're like the most artist of everyone I know. The way you design your life. Is your art. And I was like, ooh, mic drop. I had not thought about that. And so I think we all should be empowered to be the artists, designers of our own life in whatever that means. That could mean have a corporate job, have a family. It doesn't mean whatever makes you the happiest. We owe it to ourselves and we owe it to this like amazing experience of life on earth to do the best that we can for what feels good to us and to enjoy our time here on this earth. There's infinite opportunities, more so now than ever, that working remote is better than ever. So figure out what's gonna bring you the most joy and do it. And obviously there's compromises, there's ways that you need to make it work, but I trust that we all can figure it out in our own way.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. So much fun.
And thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Ciao.